The infamous Red X car trials of the 50s have cemented their place in Australia's now well-established motor racing history. The character of these Outback Trials helped shape a few characters of their own. The legendary stories of Gelignite Jack Murray, the larrikin, forever playing practical jokes on fellow competitors, even blowing up the odd Outback dunny, was not too much of a stretch. Perhaps it was these tales that kept the competitive fires burning. For the next 20 years, car trials would come and go as passionate groups of enthusiasts organised their version of the Round Australia car trial.
Well, 79 was the 12th in a long line of events, and it now is, I think, accredited with being sort of the best and the hardest of all the events. It was competitive, even on the transport stages.
Barry Ferguson drove in that 1979 Repco reliability trial. His Commodore was part of a 3-car team entered by Holden. Much to the General's delight, all 3 Commodores dominated the event.
Happiness would have been one car in the top 10. But as we saw by about Rockhampton, we had 1, 2, 3, and we held that 1, 2, 3 position right to the end.
Variations on the theme have seen numerous events run along similar lines to those early trials. These days, though, they're run for period cars, and the Red Centre to Gold Coast trial is the latest rally in search of that spirit of old competition.
In their day were major advertising tools for the car companies. It was the start of race on Sunday, sell on Monday. We're restricting this event to pre-1986 cars because we're just trying to recreate that historic atmosphere that everybody remembers from the early Red X trials.
Bob Watson, himself a competitor in the Ampol and Repco trials, draws inspiration from those early events.
It's in my blood, and long-distance events particularly are very interesting to me. I've done 2 London to Sydney marathons, and I've competed in the East African Safari Rally. So the long-distance events are the ones with the real challenge, where your endurance and your mental strength get challenged.
The Red Centre to Gold Coast trial has drawn interest from a broad cross-section. More than 100 cars and crews will start from Alice Springs in September and wind their way backwards and forwards across some of the most challenging roads of Queensland and the Northern Territory. Amongst them, former Australian champions David Officer and his co-driver wife, Kate.
We'll see a fair bit of Queensland by the time we do a great big S-bend through it, from Alice Springs right up to Cairns, back through, back to Birdsville and out to the Gold Coast. So yeah, we're seeing a pretty major part of the country.
12,000 kilometres in, is it 9 days, I think it is. So it'll keep us busy.
In rallying, there's no such thing as retirement, and the officers who were dominant in their Mitsubishi Galant in the 80s are no exception.
A car similar to this that we won our Australian Championship back in 1984, except it had a much bigger motor and lots more power and chewed tyres out every 20k, that sort of thing. But it was a great handling little car, and we hope it'll do pretty well in this event.
Competitors travel the world in search of great classic rallies, and this event has attracted several international entries. 2 Datsun 240Zs are currently being prepared in the outer suburbs of Sydney by rally driver turned car builder Stuart Wilkins for Kenyan Jonathan Savage and Scotsman Peter Harland. As for Barry Ferguson's VB Commodore, well, for many years that was but a fond memory.
After the event, one went to a museum, that was Peter's, and the other 2 were sold off. The third one was subsequently wrecked somewhere. We lost track of it, it was so many years ago. And mine just vanished.
Unbelievably, 2 decades after the Repco trial, the runner-up stumbled on his old Commodore in Sydney.
Sure, a bit faded. In the original livery, it had the Halder Twin Master, the speed pilot on the dash. It had the spares behind the driver's seat with the nibs still on the tyres, unused.
For Barry Ferguson, his journey with the rare rally car opens a new and maybe final chapter when he and his VB Commodore line up nearly 30 years on to take part in the Red Centre to Gold Coast trial.
If you're mechanically inclined and interested in motor cars, as basically we all are in the event, you've got the joy of being able to go for thousands of kilometres and many, many hours doing what you like doing. And that's why there are so many cars that generally finish these long distance events. It's very important to get to the end. Everyone knows the experience that they will pick as they go through, and that feeling at the end to say, I've done it again, because it is a challenge.